Dr. Price.
Mrs. Winchester, it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Pleasure is due to the lawyers of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company.
Yes. I suppose you're right.
Well, I hope everything has been to your satisfaction so far.
I cannot fault the hospitality.
It's quite a special house, is it not?
Now that, ma'am, is a fact beyond dispute.
Set.
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the January 30th, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronic Rift Network. Starting with the box office report, The Death Cure put an end to the Jungle Run, even with a substantial drop compared to its predecessors. That matches with the top 12 performance overall, which is down nearly 6% from last year. This weekend comes in 6th all-time, being beaten by American Sniper, Avatar, Split, and lofty think pieces like Paul Blart Mall Cop and Meet the Spartans. That last bit was a joke, and you know where to reach me if you want to take me to task. The countdown begins with number 10 and new release Padmavat, premiering to $4.4 million. That breaks the all-time record for the largest Bollywood opening in North America, beating 2014's PK by a solid million. That's also the highest per-theater average this week. At number 9 is Paddington 2, down 3 from 6th. At 8 is The Shape of Water, springing up 8 spots from 16th on the news of this film's 13 Oscar nominations. In 7th is Den of Thieves, down 4 from 3rd, and capping the bottom 5 is 12 Strong, down 4 from 2nd. The top 5 begins with The Post, down 1 from 4th with $9.1 million, added to a total of $58.8 million. In 4th place is The Greatest Showman, up 1 from 5th with a small Oscar bump of $9.6 million and a new total of $126.5 million. In 3rd place is expanding film Hostiles, up 20 spots with nearly 3,000 theaters and $10.1 million for a new total of $12 million. That's a little under expectations, but it performed well enough, with a 65% on Metacritic, a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a B cinema score. In 2nd place is last week's winner, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, adding $16.1 million to a total of $337.8 million. And sliding into 1st this week is Maze Runner: The Death Cure, premiering to $24.2 million. While it had the largest budget in the series, this is actually disappointing, with a performance $7 million behind the second film and $9 million behind the first. Part of that is the appeal, which doesn't really extend much beyond the fans of the series, and the other part is the onset injury to star Dylan O'Brien that actually delayed the film by about a year. Audiences saw it on par with the previous entry, offering up a B+ cinema score. Critics on Rotten Tomatoes agreed with that assessment, scoring a 45% compared to the 46% for the Scorch Trials. Metacritic was a little bit more forgiving, bumping this entry up to 51% over the last film's 43%. The box office premiere for February 3rd is an explosive thriller. This week's headliner is Winchester, a mystery thriller starring Helen Mirren, Sarah Snook, and Jason Clarke.
So, why all the noise? Why all this destruction?
They want me to build, Doctor. The spirits, killed by the rifle, they guide me.
Guide you in drawing building plans?
Yes. You see, once their rooms are completed, their presence grows stronger.
Hence the house that spirits built.
Yes. At the chime of midnight, they clamor. The bells summon them. They communicate through plans, drawings. They want me to reconstruct the rooms that they died in. Then they can enter our world. The trouble is, I don't always know who it is I'm speaking with. It could be some innocent bystander or a victim of a crime or someone else. You don't believe any of this, I understand.
Ma'am, I do not. I do not believe in anything I cannot see or study.
Make your assessment, Doctor. Say what you feel is the truth about Sarah Winchester.
And if that means you lose control of your company.
Oh, there are worse things in this world to lose than that, Doctor.
An eccentric firearm heiress believes she is haunted by souls of people killed by the Winchester repeating rifle. Similar titles average around $15 million in opening weekend and finish around double that, so this has the makings of a slow weekend. Winchester is rated PG-13. If Winchester's not your speed and you've already seen Jumanji like 5 or 6 times, there are 5 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find all of those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of January 30th, and I'll begin with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list has 2 titles, one somewhat controversial and the other one not so much. The first one is Professor Marston and the Wonder Women, a biographical drama starring Luke Evans, Rebecca Hall, and Bella Heathcote. This film details the unconventional life of Dr. William Marston, the Harvard psychologist and inventor who helped to invent the modern lie detector test and created Wonder Woman in 1941. Professor Marston and the Wonder Women is rated R. The other title this week is Boo 2, A Madea Halloween, a comedy starring Tyler Perry, Brock O'Hearn, and Lexi Pantera. Madea, Bam, and Hattie venture to a haunted campground, and the group must literally run for their lives when monsters, goblins, and the boogeyman are unleashed. Boo 2, A Madea Halloween is rated PG-13. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have one title to share. That one is Wonder, a drama starring Julia Roberts, Jacob Tremblay, and Owen Wilson. Based on the New York Times bestseller, Wonder tells the incredibly inspiring and heartwarming story of August Pullman, a boy with facial differences who enters 5th grade, attending a mainstream elementary school for the first time. I remember this title had a tearjerker for a trailer, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it when it hits physical media. Wonder is rated PG. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with the Pink Panther Cartoon Collection, Volume 1, spanning 1964 to 1966, and starring Paul Frees, Rich Little, and Mel Blanc. Finding immediate fame in the opening title sequence of Blake Edwards' 1964 classic comedy, The Pink Panther, the feline embodiment of the swinging 60s cool quickly became the star of his own animated shorts produced by the DePatie Frelin studio. Unlike the loud and manic characters of other animation studios, the Pink Panther was light and easygoing, and moved to the rhythm of jazzy theme music of the great Henry Mancini. Usually thwarting the plans of a variety of uptight little men, the Hep Cat's fresh approach to cartoon comedy earned an Academy Award for his first solo effort, The Pink Fink. It actually got Best Animated Short Film of 1964. And he remains the era's most iconic animation sensation. This collection of 20 cartoons are all mastered in HD, and feature the original audio without laugh tracks, which were added to the television versions of the short films later on. The second TV title is Victoria, Season 2 from 2017, starring Jenna Coleman, Adrian Schiller, and Tom Hughes. Season 2 finds Victoria adapting to motherhood after the birth of her first child, a daughter, to the disappointment of many. Meanwhile, the disaster of the Anglo-Afghan War unfolds abroad, and the catastrophic Irish potato famine begins to wreak havoc. In other foreign affairs, a royal state visit to France is in the offing. Most intriguing to Prince Albert is the budding Industrial Revolution, which is now sweeping through England. There is Charles Babbage's Mechanical Calculator, a collaborative project with the bewitching Ada Lovelace, the daughter of the scandalous Lord Byron. Then there is William Fothergill Cook's Miraculous Electrical Telegraph, and not to mention Mark Isambard Brunel's daring and dangerous Thames Tunnel. The final TV title this week is Ray Donovan, Season 5 from 2017, starring Liev Schreiber, Paula Malcolmson, and Eddie Marsan. Ray's ongoing family upheaval has taken an emotional toll, leaving him more vulnerable than ever. Los Angeles' preeminent fixer is heading into uncharted territory and will soon discover that some damage cannot be controlled. As always, I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you Class of 1999, a science fiction horror film from 1990 starring Stacy Keach, Malcolm McDowell, and Bradley Gregg. The time is the future, and youth gang violence is so high that the areas around some schools have become free fire zones into which not even the police will venture. When Miles Langford, the principal of Kennedy High School, decides to take his school back from the gangs, robotics specialist Dr. Robert Forrest provides tactical education units. These human-like androids have been programmed to teach and are supplied with weapons to discipline problems. These kids will get a lesson in staying alive. Class of 1999 is not rated. After a brief break for a bout of shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
Are you troubled by the strange ending to Sherlock? Do you experience feeling of dread while waiting for Doctor Who to return? Have you or your family actually seen Orphan Black, Person of Interest, or Sleepy Hollow? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Log in to the home of all things geek, the Earth Station 1 network.
Our podcasts are on call 24 hours a day to serve all your geek needs.
The ESO network will be right there.
We're ready to geek out with you.
Be part of the crew at ESOnetwork.com.
The ESO Network, your station for all things geek. Classic, current, and beyond. Be part of the crew at ESOnetwork.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. First up, Carrie Fisher wins 2018 Grammy Award for Best Spoken Word. Aw, Space Mom. Carrie Fisher has won a posthumous Grammy Award in the Best Spoken Word album category. This past year has been a hard one for those of us who loved Carrie Fisher. We all still mourn the loss a year after she passed away due to complications from a heart attack. In addition to being a shining star in front of the camera, Carrie Fisher was a prolific writer, authoring several books in her lifetime. She authored 4 novels and 3 memoirs, including The Princess Diarist. Published in 2016, the book was based on diary entries a young space princess kept while on the set of the original Star Wars film. The book topped the New York Times nonfiction bestseller list in January 2017 and was also nominated for a Hugo Award, and now its list of accolades grows by 1 as Fisher wins a Grammy. Yay! I need to get that book. It's been on my Audible wishlist for forever, and one day I really just need to make the leap and get on it. Up next, Elon Musk promises he is not secretly creating a zombie apocalypse. What? I didn't realize this was a thing people were thinking, but okay. Noted futurist Elon Musk denied rumors that he is secretly working to bring about the end of days via a zombie apocalypse event. Okay, seriously, who the hell asked him this question and why? Musk has been accused of hoping to profit from such a scenario, as his firm, The Boring Company, is currently taking pre-orders on the first commercially available flamethrower. Musk officially denied the rumor on his Twitter and further pointed out the implausibility of such a plan, saying there is no way even he could make a factory big enough to create enough zombies to constitute a zombie apocalypse. I weep for humanity. I mean, okay, given that it's technically viable he could be a supervillain in hiding because of his plans for a Mars colony, the electric cars, the off-grid power supplies, solar panels, all of those things could coalesce into a plan for world domination. But it all hinges on the fact that a capitalist society would have to remain intact long enough for villainy to first take place and then to be able to reap the rewards from. I don't see a zombie apocalypse being a way to gain the maximum return from what would amount to be a lifetime of planning and scheming and setting up a chain reaction of events. I mean, unless he declares himself supreme leader of Mars for life once the colonists all got there, but even still. I mean, it would make a pretty good Pulp Fiction book, though. Next, Jennifer Hudson is set to play Aretha Franklin in Queen of Soul biopic. Yay! And to make it more awesome, Aretha Franklin herself chose Jennifer Hudson to play herself in the movie. Yay! That's actually pretty cool, y'all. Franklin is unquestionably one of the greatest singers in history. She is the voice behind such classics as the 1960s R&B hit Respect, Chain of Fools, Think, and You Make Me Feel a Natural Woman. The songs are so iconic that they, along with many others, have turned up in more than a couple hundred films and television shows throughout the years, including The Big Chill, The Blues Brothers, which she also appeared in, Sex and the City, and more recently, Scandal, and that's just naming a few. Few singers have equaled the raw power and emotion of Aretha Franklin. Jennifer Hudson is one of those women. You remember her from her stint in 2004's American Idol and the Broadway musical Dreamgirls, which earned her an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Now, a dozen or so years after taking the Academy Awards by storm and selling millions of records worldwide, Hudson is getting another big screen role. Deadline says MGM will be moving quickly to get a screenwriter and filmmaker for the Franklin biopic, which will be produced by Scott Bernstein and Harvey Mason Jr., who has previously collaborated with Franklin and produced the music for Dreamgirls. No other details of the biopic have been announced, but we will keep you updated as more information comes our way. Next, Steven Spielberg starts filming Indiana Jones 5 in 2019. Okay, here's the thing. I love the Indiana Jones series, except for the Temple of Doom. That one was awful. And the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That one was equally awful. I am not one of those people who's going to go off and lament about how this or that thing or the other thing is wrong. I'm just wary of the time shift changed into the 1950s. Not that it isn't a logical place for the character to go, you can't stay in the 40s fighting Nazis forever. I just felt that the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull handled it awfully. It felt more like an Ancient Aliens episode than an actual Indiana Jones flick. And the neat wrap-up of Indy's life without any real build-up to that, I mean, I got he was missing his dad and Marcus Brody, but to go from that to marriage, okay. I love Marion, she's been my favorite for forever, but still, oh god, I sound like one of them, don't I? I mean, my big thing now is how Spielberg seems to have forgotten to tell a story, but anyway, Spielberg, who helmed the previous 4 installments, signed on to direct back in 2016. Harrison Ford will, of course, star in the title role once again, with the script coming from David Cope. Updates in the film have been hard to come by, but THR mentions the director hopes to start production on Indy 5 in 2019, which would give him plenty of time to complete the film for July 2020, meaning Disney won't have to delay it any further. Previously, the film was scheduled for release on July 2019, before getting pushed back. The good news is Shia LaBeouf's mutt will not return, thank God. Nothing else has been revealed about the plot, however. John Rhys-Davies is up for reprising Sala, which would just be so great. We'll keep you guys updated, trust me, I'm just as interested as you are. And finally, Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, is being adapted by Gerald's Game director Mike Flanagan. Maybe he'll be able to make the movie less self-conscious than the book, and possibly give us some more hints as to what the Oedipus is up with the Overlook, because the book sure as hell didn't. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, I wasn't looking out for answers because that would have ruined the creep factor that was The Shining, but a few more hints to help build theories and roundtable discussions with copious amounts of alcohol and cheese would have been great. Yes, these are the discussions I have, don't you judge me. And the book was just so, that book. Anyway, Deadline is reporting that Flanagan has now been set to direct the film adaptation for Warner Brothers, and will rewrite the early script draft for the film penned by Akiva Goldsman, who is still serving as an executive producer. Flanagan and his producing partner Trevor Macy are currently in the midst of filming The Haunting of Hill House TV series for Netflix. Woo, really? So, if you don't know, Dr. Sleep picks up with 40-something Danny Torrance, now struggling with the same alcoholism that haunted his father, in addition to the lingering trauma from his childhood and The Shining, the gift that allows him supernatural visions and insights into people's thoughts and feelings. Despite his best efforts to lead a quiet life, providing comfort for the dying at a small-town hospice in New Hampshire, Danny's existence is disrupted yet again when he is contacted by a young girl named Abra Stone, whose own shining abilities have made her the target of a dangerous cult that possesses unnatural powers of their own. Oh, that book! I have so many feelings on that book. Michael, we should discuss this book. We should also discuss how there needs to be more H.P. Lovecraft adaptations because seriously, It is my hope that Flanagan turns the lackluster book into a gem of a movie, and not that in that Kubrickian way, which admittedly is super creepy once you know what you're looking for and you turn the sound off to watch it, but in a genuinely scary way. And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, or the show in general, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we can do better. Take me to task for that joke earlier. Trust me, you want to. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave us an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow the prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com, or go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, and I am Womprat99, like the creature look of Bullseye in his T16 in Beggars Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show is making a comeback in 2018, and it's offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab a hot cuppa and join in the fun, or download the audio version later in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, Present the Transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine with the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's Adventures in the 1990s, when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing those tales in the Timestamps Project. This week, I'm continuing the 22nd season with the 6th Doctor and the 2 Doctors. Man, that was a rough one. You can find that review and so many more at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and a cover designer. She did the logo for Creative Criticality, and, I'm a little bit biased, but I think she does great work. You can check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support helps to keep us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures in drama, comedy, and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and enjoy the journey.
That's a wrap.